Well, we have to lose some games at some point, but what did we learn from Home Park? Welcome back to our Bluebirds Walk. We've got a full team back this week. Jamie, Craig and Ellis is not frozen this week to talk about that loss to Plymouth. How are you all doing? Great to have your company here for another 20 minutes of reviewing Cardiff City games. If you haven't yet subbed to the channel, we'd really appreciate you to do so. We're trying to grow this into a nice little community. And thanks for all your comments. Last week, there's going to be no big head losses this week, but Jamie, Craig and Ellis have got a few things they want to get off their chest with some senior players. Stay tuned for all of that. Plus, coming up, we're asking who would we like to take up with us to League One once we get promoted. And we're also thinking about have we fallen out with love with football as a nation? Some interesting articles out there this week. We're going to get the panel's view on all of that. Plus, we're up to letter Q in our A to Z. Oh, my goodness. Let's see what they've come up with for that. Let's get straight to it, though. Jamie, you were there watching all those 5 goals sail past, sail into your net. Couldn't believe the scoreline when I looked at it. Who disappointed you?
I don't think we had much structure in the midfield, if I'm honest. I think we probably lost the battle there. The height alone was a big thing for me. I saw the physical presence from the off and I said, I think it was the first aerial challenge and we all said, yeah, that's a mismatch. Listen, I listened to Tom Cleverley and Owen Dale's interview and they said they're going to pretty much go old school 4-4-2. So we knew what we were up against. Tolai and Pepple. Good, strong players. We didn't live up to that physicality. And then the frustrating thing is the way we conceded goals. Not stopping crosses. That's a fundamental of defending. Not winning your headers. And I think that was a big thing yesterday. It almost felt like at times maybe Plymouth wanted it a bit more. There was that desire there almost. And, I'm not going to sit here and talk about decisions here and there, but they did have, pardon the phrase, a bit of the rub of the green yesterday.
Yeah. Alice, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with everything. I think we really struggled defensively, and I was going to bring up the aerial factor as well. And I think it was a game that Will Fish would have been really effective in because he is dominant in the air. Jamie was speaking about it earlier, talking about Wintle in the team and how he sits in front of the back line. Robertson's done an awesome job in this midfield. But in terms of when you're playing as a 6, he's a different type of player to Wintle. And I just feel that Wintle would have protected that back line a bit more with Robertson pushed a bit further up. But yeah, I think we struggled all over, really. We weren't winning our second duels. We were losing everything in the air. But what can you do, eh? We're going to have these games now and again. And Plymouth looked on it, to be fair. They were better. They were better than us all over the pitch.
A few social media takes to get through. Some of them you probably might scoff at, but here we go. Let's try them. Craig, first one for you, if that's okay. Then Bob the Bank says, love you, BBM, but the tinkering at centre-back now has to stop, please. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, at the start of the season, we went all those games unbeaten, didn't we, with Fish and Lawler? And since then, they've had knocks and injuries, and he has tinkered a little bit, but Osho's picked up, and Chambers been playing really well, so you can't really drop them. But yesterday, I think it would have been a game where perhaps he should have tinkered and he should have put Fish back in, especially if he knew how they were going to set up and how they were going to play. It was made for Fish. Personally, now, if it's me, if Lawler's ready to go, I'd go back Lawler and Fish just to get a bit of stability for a few games, get back to being solid, and that's how I would go. Wintle sitting in front, like the boy said, to mop everything up. Yeah, I stopped tinkering. I'd get back to being solid as we can now.
Okay. On that same line, I mean, this one from Scott says, I never want to see Osho and Chambers together at the back ever again. Jamie, they're like a bunch of headless chickens together. There's a big reality check today, but hey, on we go. Where are you on the pairing?
Listen, I think I wanted a bit of experience in there, and you'd hope that experience would have done enough yesterday, but we saw how Tolai played against us when he played for Port Vale beginning the season, and Callum Chambers didn't have an enjoyable night that night. Whenever you give a striker who's got that sort of ego about him a bit of banter from the sideline, you're just waiting for it to bite you in the backside. But listen, I think the frustrating thing yesterday was, you could look at it both sides. Did we apply ourselves the best we could? No. Did they apply themselves the best they could? Yes. I mean, it's a simple thing where even from goal kicks, they were clever. They used Boateng and the number 4 that they had to sit right behind Robertson, so we couldn't actually play out from the back from a goal kick. So then Trott had to go a bit longer, or we'd have to go left to right. And then obviously they were setting traps. And listen, I think to be 3-2 down at halftime was like, how are we only 3-2 down? Like, you know what I mean? It was like we weren't probably playing anything near our best, but we were still in the game. That 4th goal, is it a penalty? Is it soft? Yes. But we don't get those decisions. And that's where I say, you know, it feels like if that was a Saleh going down, he'd get told, laughed at, and told to get back up. But again, like, you know, one little blip, and that's what it has to be, is a blip. But we are looking, like I said, I think, is it 9 or 10 points clear or whatever it is now, a third. So, you know, we just got to take it on the chin. I still haven't fully recovered from it, to be honest. I still couldn't believe that Chambers, for example, didn't engage to stop on the second goal when he came out. I was thinking, just go to the man. But I'm no tactician. I'm just a fan in the stands, you know.
Yeah. 11 points clear, Ellis, and you know, I think Bolton Jews. It's not been a completely disastrous weekend, has it? However, Lincoln did win. Does it bother you at all that potentially, you know, if you were to draw to Doncaster this weekend, that, you know, you might go to second and then you become the one that others are hunting down?
Yeah, it's that thing anyway. I think every Cardiff fan now, you know, the main objective for this season was just to go back up. So, but considering how well we've done this season, we've spent all this time at the top. It'd be lovely to win the league, obviously. So yeah, it does bother me, and I'm confident we'll beat Doncaster next week. But I'm also confident Lincoln will win their next game as well, which means that leading in after that week, we've got Lincoln. So you know, they're likely to be 1 point in it. It's going to be a huge occasion. But yeah, it'd be nice to win the league at this point now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But looking back, as long as we go up and we've got that nice buffer from third, that's the main thing.
Okay. Let's finish off the Plymouth game then, Craig, with another final one here. Trott's fan account says, I know people are going to blame the ref today, but I think Barry Murphy got it so wrong today. We had no control over the midfield, like Jamie said earlier. And bringing on more attackers over Wintle just made it worse and worse and worse. Can you get on board with that view?
Yeah, maybe a bit. He did get it wrong. Wintle should have started. When you go away from home, you need as many dogs in there as you can, like the Joels and the Wintles, who are going to run all day and fight their hearts out. He's bringing the attackers on. We'd be chasing the game at that point, and he's trying to go for it. And if we're going to lose by 4, our goal difference is pretty good. So if we're going to lose by 3 or 4, we may as well have a crack at it. But like the boys said, we've just got to make sure this isn't a blip. And like the Port Vale away game, where it was a blessing in disguise straight away. The last thing we want creeping in now for the business end is complacency. So it might do him a little bit of a wake-up call. Might be doing a bit of good.
Yeah, I feel, Ellis, perhaps we might be a bit responsible because we sat on here last week saying it's all over, done and dusted, and yeah, we were rubbing our hands with glee, weren't we? That we were going up.
It always comes back to bite you on the backside, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But,
yeah, to be fair, Plymouth have been playing really, really well. I mean, they nearly beat Stockport away, don't forget, less than a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, this is not you having coming against a really bad team. Jamie, what changes need to be made then for away at Donny then this weekend?
Midfield wise, I think that it sounds daft. I think just establishing, you know, what your roles are again. I think that they reminded me how we were at the beginning of the season, where on transition we were just unable to affect anything. And we were vulnerable yesterday. There was no apparent, you know, there was no shape to us. There was, you know, it felt like that, you know, I think it was the second goal where when you're on transition, there's nobody marking the left winger. He's got 5 yards to have a finish into the net. You think, how's that happened? Whereas in recent months, we haven't seen that. We've been, you know, sort of very regimented in our approach. Maybe bring Scanlon in for left, you know, for some sort of speed on the left-hand side, whether that's a left winger, because I know he's got the speed to burn, or left back to give Joel Bagan a rest. I don't know. I just think we need to make sure the midfield 3 is right, because I think they get us going forward as well as being defensively sound. And whether that means Ruben Colwell drops into that midfield 3 and is almost that height and that physicality as such, I don't know. But listen, like you said, yesterday was going to happen at some point. It just seems to be that like you said, last time we had a little setback at Lincoln. Let's not forget that was the 20th of December, our last loss. And like we say now, as much as it wasn't nice to lose yesterday, it's not the end of the world. We haven't lost in 12 games, so you've got to lose at some point. Hopefully that applies to Lincoln as well, mind.
Yeah. Horrible weather as well. Hope you journey okay down there, Jamie. I mean, it's not massively far, but
yeah, it was brilliant. We actually thought that we had a minibus of 9 of us in there, and after the performance, we thought on the way down, should we actually find somewhere else to go? So we ended up going further down south, and we went and watched 5:30 kick-off of the National League, Truro against Gateshead. So we were in the minibus down to Truro, jumped to the Gateshead end and had a great laugh. And one of our old academy players, Sam Bowen, plays for Gateshead. So, it was a good night. And to be fair, that was probably the highlight of the day. I'm not going to lie.
Did Gateshead win?
They did. They won 2-1.
Brilliant. Right then. Join us next week. We'll review that Doncaster game. We've been asking fans across the network which team they'd like to see coming up from League One. Craig, no one so far has said Cardiff. You probably wouldn't be surprised at that, I don't think, given that you've only just gone down and people are looking at new grounds to visit. Who would you like to come up with?
Even though they fly in and they're not dropping points, I'd like to see Lincoln go up. They've been down in the dreads, and they were in the conference in the National League not so long back, down there for a while. So for them to go up, they haven't been up there for so long. I'd like them to come up with us. I don't really know who else, to be honest, in the playoffs. I don't really want Plymouth to come up now after yesterday. I don't know who else, to be honest.
I mean, many fans are saying Bolton deserve to be there, Ellis, that they are like a championship kind of sized club. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think we spoke about that a little bit last week. And I think with us, and then Lincoln and Bolton, I think we've been the best 3 teams in this division this year. But if I could have it my way, I'd love to see Bradford in the championship next year. I think that'd be really cool to see them back up there.
Okay. Fingers crossed we can get you in the championship when you have all 3 Welsh sides in the championship. Although we may be losing Wrexham, of course, as you may have noticed this weekend. Have started to get their stuff together and mount an assault on the Premier League. So, we will watch that with interest. Right then, we've been talking this week. Well, lots of people have been talking this week about some of the articles coming out about are we falling out of love with football generally as a nation. Just get your quick views on that, if that's okay. As obviously, you guys follow this team up and down the country. Are you getting a vibe when you talk to other Cardiff fans in the pubs and just generally in your workplaces that perhaps football has changed for the worse, Craig?
I don't know. I don't think so. A lot of the people I speak to, the people I speak to are football mad and they love it. I don't know about the rest of the place. Maybe if you go I know the Welsh League isn't what it used to be in general. I mean, if they're falling away, some of the big clubs that used to be big clubs, they've fallen away. So perhaps Welsh football, lower leagues maybe, but the fans I speak to, the professional game, not so much, no.
Jeremy, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think I agree with that sentiment. I think Cardiff's fans base has been very, very loyal over the years through thick and thin, and we're a stoic bunch. I think the only negative for me is the interference from probably the TV, where they just keep messing up, kickoff times or changing it to a Thursday night and things, and naturally I think that then causes that dilemma of work, family, or football, if not at all. And that does play a part. But again, the cost as well, isn't it? We've all seen these campaigns of 20 plenty and stuff like that. And you get certain clubs now, rightly or wrongly, charging £45 for an away ticket. And it's like, what's the point? That's a weekly shop for some people, or.
Yeah. What about attendances, Jamie? You've travelled to every single away game now in League One. I don't think you've missed one, have you? Have you noticed? Have you been surprised at how low the attendances have been at some grounds, or?
No, I think it depends. As the season goes on, naturally, if your side isn't doing particularly well, I think that weans off, doesn't it? And as an away fan, we went to Port Vale first away game, wasn't it? And or second, and it was busy. Now I look at the Port Vale stands, and obviously from afar, you can see that sort of early exuberance is gone. And it is a shame because it isn't cheap to have season tickets. It is a big commitment, and I think you go to certain grounds like you mentioned about Lincoln and Bolton, who are doing very well. Their attendance are fantastic, and the atmospheres are fantastic.
Okay. All right, let's move on then. Finally, this week we're talking about our A to Z of Cardiff City. We've done P. Did P last week. Alice did really well there. We had a few shout-outs from OC Dean. Again, thank you so much, fella. We always appreciate your inputs on all of that. Now we get to Q. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this. What have you got? Alice, anything?
Sorry, I was racking my brains. Couldn't think of a player. So I've gone for a goal we scored against QPR. And it was a Ruben Colwill free kick. And I think it's nice to look back on now, because that was kind of the first nice worldy free kick we've seen him score. And that was the first glimpse of that type of goal he could score. And now we've seen him do a few times this season. I'm going to go with that goal against QPR.
Okay. Anyone beat that?
No, I've got a player. It was Paul Quinn from a while back, between 2009 and 2012. I've got to be honest, I've cheated. I had to Google it.
Okay. Was he any good? Is he good enough to get in the A to Z? Oh,
no,
okay.
nothing. He played 46 times. He must have been half decent. He played
Okay.
So I don't know. But he'll do his cue.
Right. We need your help here. Jamie, anything other than that?
No, I had Paul Quinn. I'm not sure on this, but I think there was a time when Motherwell may have said something on Sky Sports News, because I think it was the time that we'd signed Bellamy on loan, and then we hadn't paid a transfer fee, or they were waiting for their transfer fee at the time. But it was part of like the Scottish Revolution of players, because our players are brilliant from Scotland. I don't think we had many bad ones. I went for the Q. There was two things I'd said. There was one which I just said quality, and the reason why I said quality was because the 2019 for me was just unbelievable. It's probably the best football we've ever played. And I'll read you a team lineup, which, as a Cardiff fan, you could only dream of now. You had David Marshall in goals, Mark Hudson, Paul Quinn, Anthony Gerrard, Mark Kennedy. But this is where it gets frightening and really good. McPhail, Whittingham, Joe Ledley, Jay Bothroyd, Michael Chopra, Ross McCormack. That oozed quality to me. It was frightening. And and then the Q, which was Ellis has said, is QPR, because I think we've had so many good battles with QPR. We've had the historic Millennium Stadium Andy Campbell moment. We've had, the sort of when they went up with Warnock, and we had the Jay Bothroyd stunner of a goal at the CCS. And whenever we play QPR, it seems to be some sort of added edge because of the Andy Campbell goal.
Okay. We've not done too badly there, have you? After all of that, what should get in here then? Quinn, quality, that quality side, or QPR battles?
I think that quality side.
Yeah, we'll go for that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many names in that team sheet that have lived on for such a long time, and that probably won't happen again, where you can remember all those players from all those years ago. So I think that deserves to go in there.
Right, we'll put in the quality 2009 Cardiff City side then. Brilliant. Thank you very much, you three. Good news, it gets a bit easier over the next coming weeks. We've got R, S, and T coming up, so that should be a breeze for the next couple of weeks until we get to UVX and W. But more on that once we get through it. Right, thank you very much for watching this week. Drop us a sub if you haven't yet done so. We really appreciate all your comments and everyone joining in. We're growing nice little community here, which is great to see. 13 to go. We can do this. No head losses at all. Beat Doncaster, beat Lincoln, and we can get our party hats on in a couple of weeks' time. Right, see you then. Enjoy the trip to Doncaster.